Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with Harkness's Sesto Elemental. This is a car you acquire through Tempest 3 Tier 5 by beating the boss. This is one of the Tier 5 rewards from boss cars that you can obtain simply by playing through Tempest, which, unlike crate drop cars or paid for Purple Star cars or even Evolution Cup cars, this one is more or less available to every player, whether you are really paying to play the game or playing it for free. Although to get to this car will probably take you a little bit of work and a bit of time if you're playing for free. Now then, how good is this car? Let's look at its stage 6 effects and then we'll take a look at its effectiveness in live racing, both of which can dictate ultimately whether this is a worthy car of being a Tempest boss car for Tempest 3 Tier 5. When you first get the Harkness Sesto Elemental, it'll be bone stock, and then you have to build it and eventually acquire stage 6s for it. While most people, even if they beat Tempest 3 a while ago, will have a hard time getting all the stage 6s, with the help of the Mysterious Stranger account here, I'm going to show you the stage 6 effects. But before we get into the stage 6s, let's take a look at this car as stage 5 only. Here, the car is filled up with all fusions. The tune is using a 2.0, 2.0, and 5446. That gives you a dyno of 10.154. This is actually not a bad lobby to be in as far as being in there with a car like this because you're kind of at the top end of tier 4 and beginning of all tier 5 time frames. So some of the BR9s and really fast tier 4s can still lobby against you. And if you see them, it means you're in the right and also a very competitive position because with this car setting, you would actually be able to run under dyno as long as you launch it late. Give it a slight bit of time because at this point, your car isn't quite as upgraded as, say, later on when you have the full upgrades. But by going kind of late on nitrous and giving it a little bit of time to build through the first gear, you can easily go well under dyno at a 9.962 or better, depending on how well you can drive the car. So despite the 10.154 dyno, we're running about a tenth plus under dyno, almost 2/10, but not quite. And that's a good place to be with any car. And this car showing that it can beat dyno would make a decent car in live, especially lobbying right near 10. Now you can even tweak it to lobby into the 10.2s and run 10.0s. That would also still make you competitive. So that was stage 5. Let's go and take a look at the first stage 6. And in this case, just to follow my pattern from before, I'm going to go ahead and fit body. Now, this car, you can see there's a huge jump with Evo when you put body in. That bodes well for body being a very strong stage 6. Notice the tune doesn't need to be changed. You just go right in and hit that dyno. 9.3. Whoa! We just went from 10.15 to 9.3 with one stage 6. So this is a monster stage 6 for this car, and I really doubt any other one's going to beat this. And that 9.3 is still beatable to some degree with this car because it's a natural dyno beater, much like the LB Aventador. So therefore, again, we'll start off a little bit late, shift, and then get through. I may not do this for the rest of the stage 6s. I'm just kind of showing you this one again just to demonstrate that it's doable. Now, notice that the needle's going a lot faster towards the end here, but we're still topping out through the traps at 5th gear. However, the times, again, now your margin is about the same, which is a 0.22, almost 215 better than what the dyno actually shows you. So again, the car's consistently beating dyno so far. Let's go look at the next stage 6. Okay, now we're going to move right along to the next stage 6, which is tire. And here, no tune change because the computer is saying you don't need to change it. And a simple dyno shows you a 9.713. That is still a decent drop, but know that this car is going from a 10.15 at stage 5 only all the way down to about a 7.3 something to 7.4 at fully maxed. This is why even the weaker stage 6s will show a decent amount of a drop in the performance of the car. So this is not necessarily a big S6. It's just that every S6 should drop at least a decent amount. Probably not as much as body, but a decent amount. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, moving right along, let's take a look at engine. Now, engine, it didn't show the tune needs to be tweaked, but let's tweak it anyway, see if it goes better or worse. So it seems like this isn't getting any better. Let's leave that there. Does this help? Yes. Going back to 2.0 again, does help a little bit. And tire probably won't help. I'm just going to leave it alone. Yeah, it doesn't help. I'll just leave it there. 53 probably will only reduce it as well. Yep. Okay, so dyno time. And the result is 9.938. Despite tuning, it is still a little bit worse than transmission. So not the strongest, but this and trans each drops about little bit over, I would say 0. About little over 2/10. Not terrible, but not great. So these are so far 2 weak ones after 2 pretty strong stage 6s. Let's look at the next one. Okay, well, trans and engine being weak could mean the next few could be stronger, right? Turbo generally isn't supposed to be a strong one, and in this case, I don't think tweaking is really going to make all that much of a difference. It seems even if you tweak it just right, you may only be able to get maybe 1 or 2 points out of the Evo changes. So I'm not even going to mess with it anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and dyno it. 9.884, it actually does a little better than both trans and engine, putting it closer to the third place at the moment. And let's see what intake and nitrous will do to finalize the order of the stage 6s. All right, let's take a look at the next one. All right, so we're moving right along here. We now have intake installed. Notice again, tune does not need to be changed. Looks like 2.6 is better. Maybe I need to go back to stage 5 only and try this duration instead of 2.0, see if that'll do better. But here we have 9.952. So this is still so far the worst stage 6. Although I would have to say trans and engine comes pretty close too. All right, let's go back and take a look at nitrous, which is going to be the final stage 6 to look at. Okay, so here we have nitrous, and I have reduced it to the minimum duration. That gives us a decent evo, decent point, but not that much more evo point than what it was at stage 5 only. The dyno disappoints though at 9.954. That's not very fast. That means pushing nitrous doesn't seem to present a particularly strong effect when it comes to reducing the time. So we kind of now know the final order of the stage 6 as far as which one is stronger than the other. Okay, unlike cars that are used for PC Cup, generally speaking, Harkness Sesto Elemental would only be used in live. So I'm not going to do a stage 6 combination effect because it's not really that important as far as hitting particular target numbers. You can go to any live lobby depending on where your car's at and still do well. Let's take a look at what this car is supposed to do around fully maxed. Tuned to the best Evo possible, and this may not be the best Evo for running the best time, but the best Evo possible that I see, I'm doing about a 7.660 according to the computer. Knowing this car definitely beats Dyno though, I'm pretty confident that 7.4 really wouldn't take that much work. Whether I can get anywhere closer to what people are running as far as world record runs, probably not, but at least getting a decent run out of it that's under dyno should be no problem at all. So again, launching late. Whoops, hit the nitrous too early. Should really let it get through fourth gear before I hit the nitrous, but even with a little bit of tire spin, this should have gone well under 7.66. 7.498. That's not as good as it could be. It really should be able to do closer to 7.40. I can give it one more shot, but I'm not going to waste your time. You can kind of look for videos on YouTube that tells you how to best shift it and run it. And those will give you a better way of getting to closer um, to the possible best time, which are what they call the world record times. But again, I'll take one more shot at this. So fourth gear, run it through, fifth gears, and done. You're basically on nitrous, running through the gates at the top speed. 7.48. Okay, not that much of an improvement over what the other one was, although I did better at the 0 to 60 before. In any case, that is one of the ways to get under. Now, you can also shorten the duration more, which will make the dyno slightly slower, but doesn't necessarily make the car run slower. Since you know at the last run, I wasted a little bit of nitrous at the end. It still had some duration. In that situation, you're almost better off getting what little extra power you can out of it. So while it's on nitrous near the end, it can push that extra mile per hour or two. But without a doubt, this is a fast car. Now, 7.6 dyno and running 7.4 really doesn't mean that much because you're in a lobby between 7.7 and 6.99s. So you're going to be running cars that are much faster than you. Maybe you'll get into more of the cars running 7.7, 7.6s, but not for long. You generally will be running what they call Supermax, which is ultimately the fastest cars in the game all lumped together. In that, this car will not be competitive as far as winning in live in that situation. So there are ways to kind of put yourself in a stronger position. That generally speaking is just putting yourself into a slower lobby. Slow enough that you can actually get yourself into a lobby where you would be competitive. So what would that be? Anything under 7.9 would be more competitive because it's a different lobby and there's a different range of cars. 8.3 is not a bad place to be, although 8.0 might be slightly better. So I may bump in one more stage six, something like trans, perhaps, which will give you a nice little bump. And that little bump might get you right into where you want to be. Now, 7.996 is a little on the quick side. That can easily get you still pushed back up into Supermax. I would prefer not to push that close. What I will do then is take trans out and put something like intake in because it's the weakest and just bump it just that little bit from 8.3 to hopefully 8.0 something or 8.1. 8.083 is not bad, and with this setting, it's not bad either. So that should put you in a lobby that is not super max, but you'll be very competitive because you're already on the upper edge of it. You may run into cars that can do 7.7s though, so there is a chance that you need to bump it back down to that 8.3 or 8.2, um, just so that you land in a lobby that you would definitely have a decent chance of winning in. But in the meantime, let's take a look what we're facing in here. Just by looking at the type of cars you're running, it'll give you a decent idea. So as soon as I see what's loading in here, I'll get an idea of what I'm looking at. Now, mind you, all these cars can definitely run under 8.0. The question is whether they're in 8.0 or they're in a much faster lobby. So load is a little slow today for whatever reason, so I'm not seeing the other guy. Oh, it's a Devo. Okay. And it doesn't connect. Okay, no problem. Just means he probably has a device that's not competitive. I mean, competitive with mine. So let's see. All right, maybe this one will connect. We'll see. Again, really slow to load the other car. Oh, Ferrari Aperta. Okay. LaFerrari Aperta is a nice car. It's actually pretty competitive as well in live. Let's see how well this fares for me. Again, I'm just doing a test run or two in live just to see where the car lands. Okay. So again, you want to launch pretty late. Hmm, close. Very close. And what do we get? 7.9 against 7.913. Pretty good run by the skin of my teeth. So level up. Okay. All right, rematch. He wasn't happy with that defeat. Okay, let's do it. Now, neither one of us is running swap symbols, so this is not going to be a swap situation. It's just going to be all out run to see what we can do. Best run possible. The Perta obviously feels he can do better than a 7.9 or he wouldn't have re-challenged me so quick. That or he thinks it's close enough that I may just make a mistake on the next one and he would be able to then take me that way. Oh, and he gets it this time. So again, he's confident that he can do better, and he did 7.84, but he did a 7.799. So I did better, but he did even better. Not a bad thing. Again, not a terribly uncompetitive lobby for this car. It's going to have some cars that can definitely push it. In this situation, if I were to really consider using it more, I'd probably bump this car down another stage 6 to into the 8.2 and slower lobby where most cars would not be pushing into the 7.7 range. By running a bunch of 7.9s and 7.8s, I can also get myself bumped up to the 7 lobby where it's going to be less competitive for me. So there are different things you can do to kind of adjust for this. Something simple would be to take that intake back out and, you know, or um, take the take the intake back out to kind of reduce the speed again. That'll put me back into the 8.3 range, and the alternative would be to go even lower into something like the 9.0 range. So you have different ways you can bump the car into lobbies that may be a little more competitive for the car. Again, it beats Dyno by almost 2/10, so you're always going to be somewhat competitive. You're just not necessarily going to be super competitive. All right, so this bump out didn't help me. I'm still in the same lobby. That could mean one of few things. It could mean I was already bumped. It could mean that Aperta was really fast for that lobby. Um, there could be a variety of meanings. So at this point, what I would do actually is to bump the car down the entire larger bracket, which will then change the nature of the way this car runs. Now 9.3, I know I can hit with just body, right? So I could go all the way down to just body and add in, say, intake to bump it into 9.1s. I'll be running some high eights, and that can actually give me a pretty competitive edge when it comes to running against opponents. So something like this, where I can go, I can leave nitrous in, I think, because it doesn't really do much, but let's leave nitrous in and take turbo out. Now we know 9.3 just with body, so with these two stage sixes, I should be looking at 9.068. Now, that again, like the 9.08 one, might be pushing it a little too close. So it'd still be good to take out nitrous and kind of tap in maybe intake. So these are all the little things you do to try to put the car in a competitive setting. You have to play around with it. It doesn't just magically become super competitive. But again, putting a car like this that naturally beats Dyno in a specific lobby where it is right on the decent upper edge is always going to be helpful um, to the car. So let's see. Now I can even do something like this where I give it a little bump down to push it into the 9.1 lobby. Let's try 51.49. It doesn't want to do it until I get it a little more grippy. So in lieu of that, I'd rather go the other way, this way. Okay, so 59 can still get us. Yep. So 9.114 is what I'm looking at here. Now, I actually lowered grip a little bit, so there'll be more tire spin, but the way this car drives, you're going to shift out of the first few gears quick anyway. So you can compensate for that tire spin just by shifting into a gear quicker. Now, clearly, I've changed the lobby that I'm supposed to be in. This is obviously not the same lobby as the one with the 7.7 cars. This should be the 9-second lobby. So let's see what kind of opponents we'll face and whether the Sesto stays competitive or not. Now, this card here, though, is a bit of a dyno beater. So depending on how he tuned it, I could get crushed, or I could just crush him because if he tuned it to max evo, he might only be able to run near dyno and maybe even slightly slower. So we'll see. But again, bit of a tricky card to anticipate. Right? He's way out there, but I'm going to be on nitrous now. Oh, slow down. Ah. All right, so obviously things have changed to some degree because I just ran an 8.9, he ran a 9.0, and I know the dyno says 9.1. So this is interesting in that it's definitely competitive here, and I really try to slow down. 8.9, 9.0. Again, you don't want to run this too much because you're going to end up getting bumped into a faster lobby pretty quickly. Once I get into 8.8, it'll move me to the 8.9 to 8.7 guys. Then I'm not going to be competitive. So playing with this kind of a car that beats Dino naturally, you got to be a little bit careful. But again, I think just with body stage 6 fusions and maybe intake, you're actually in a more competitive life setting than if you went and maxed out the car. Now, if it's fully maxed, you'll make a great swap car, no doubt about it. So there's nothing wrong with building this car. If you get more stage 6s, throw them in, see what they do for you, and go from there. Obviously, going through this video, I think you can agree with me that this is a good car. It is, in fact, a very decent car for live as well, provided you tune it carefully to the right lobby. And it's a purple star car, which means you get bonuses that you don't get with a um, gold star car, which means that extra 3% will be there for you for the RP gains. Plus, being a high Evo car, the live RP will always get to full RP pretty quickly, even at stage 5 only. So I would start using this car in live even with just stage 5. And certainly if you get the right stage 6s, it's going to be very good to put into slightly faster lobbies like the 9s and maybe the 8.2 lobbies where it's going to shine and win pretty easily. In the long term, the game punishes you for winning too much. So at some point, if you get more stage 6s and you end up in super max, you might as well just put a swap symbol on and swap with it. Certainly a worthy card of a Tempest boss. Unlike all the other Tempest boss cars in Tier 5, I think Harkness' Sesto Elemental is the first that really lives up to the amount of work it takes to get through Tempest and then earning this car. So it actually feels like a real reward and not just a garage queen that you get because hey, you grind your way through Tempest. Congratulations, here's a crappy car. Okay, not the case with Harkness. Decent car, well worth building and using. All right, so I rambled on enough about this car. I think we've all kind of figured out where it sits relative to other cars in the game. It is one of the fastest Tier 5 cars you can get from Tempest or crates for that matter. So definitely one of the fastest cars in the game without paying real money. So there's no doubt if you get all the stage 6s and all the fusions, you'll be up there with the big boys, although you will still not be beating the big boys that paid a lot of money. Good swap car, good live racer, definitely worth the build. All right, now let me know what you think. If you won this car, congratulations. If you're about to go into Tempest to try to win this car, be patient. Unlike some of the other Tier 5 boss cars, this is one you don't want to lose. Be patient, build your car so it runs 8.9s or better, so you can definitely take down Harkness in the final race and get this car. Hey, I hope this video was helpful to you and I gave you some useful information. Let me know if you liked the video by leaving a like, and please subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.